Hello, BookTube. You'll wonder why I'm in a different location and in a different position. That's because I'm doing a library tour. Who thought we'd ever see those again on this channel? I don't know if I'll continue it, but I thought, why not? We've only barely scratched the surface, so I'm down on the floor. Totally new bookcase, totally new area. I thought I would maybe make a little chip at it and see if it gets anywhere. So we're going to do one pile of, one column of mass markets that are double stacked over other things. It's not much, but we'll see what we have. And the first huge chunk of that is this. The Martian Tales of Edgar Rice Burroughs, which I love to distraction. Look at these beautiful Michael Whelan covers. Look at that. There's John Carter, the Earthman who is transported to Mars and gains superpowers, flying over the dead red planet. They are gripping him in his beloved Deja Thoris, and way in the background is Tars Tarkas, his best friend, a Thark. Also, and there's an exotic city of Barsoom in the background. There's Thuvia, maid of Mars. Notice the many limbs on the lion-like creature. And once again, we have a gorgeous city in the background. The synthetic men of Mars. Look at that hideous monstrosity. Oh, and giant insects in a swamp on Mars. An unlikely thing, but still. The swords of Mars, full of daring-do and action sequences. Just incredible stuff. It goes on and on and on. These are such wonderful stories. I love them so much. There's the Warlord of Mars. There's John Carter with his beloved Woola, a dog-like creature, and yet another giant insect. These are... oh, I have to show you these two. There's Lana of Gothal and a fighting man of Mars. Both of them don't really involve John Carter or his children or his wife at all. They're just adventure stories set on Mars, and they're terrific, absolutely terrific. And the covers have a little thing in common. Let's see if you can spot it. This is Lana of Gothal, and this is a fighting man of Mars. Here, let me help you. Maybe you'll spot the similarity. The last volume here, the one that isn't a novel, is this great old thing from Del Rey, A Guide to Barsoom, which has all the Edgar Rice Burroughs made up tons and tons of terms, tons and tons of cultures and creatures, weapons and craft and all kinds of things. And this, he almost never troubled to explain them all. The stories had such a fanatical following of fans that he didn't think he needed to. So this very helpfully collects all that sort of stuff. And I bought the this is the second copy that I owned. I bought a copy when it first came out. This was, oh God, do I even want to know? 1976. I bought a copy when it first came out and read it. I just tore it to pieces reading it. And I came to two realizations right away when I was finished reading it. The first one was, isn't it great that there are still enough fans in the world for Del Rey to put out a book called A Guide to Barsoom? And the second was that I don't need to own such a book. And yet here it is, 50 years later. So that's the first part of this unexpected library tour, is the adventures of John Carter on Mars. I cannot recommend them highly enough. Oh, they are so good. And then the next one, I think we've seen this before. This is going to be a hard sell. You're going to think I've lost what few remaining marbles I have. But this is Creator by Jeremy Leven. This is the movie cover with Peter O'Toole and Mariel Hemingway. That's Mariel Hemingway on the bottom. And I confess, at the moment, I've forgotten the name of the young actor. Vincent Spano, I think. But there was a movie version of Jeremy Leven's novel Creator that wasn't much like the book, and you really couldn't do a movie version of the book, because the book is phantasmagorical. I consider it one of a great novel of the 20th century, and it's totally forgotten. I'm sure it will never be reprinted. No one thinks about Jeremy Leven anymore. He wrote two great novels, one called Creator and one called An Interview with Satan, Satan, His Psychotherapy and Cure, by the unfortunate Dr. Kastner, JSPS, which stands for Just Some Poor Schmuck. But Creator, I think, is the better of the two, and is an amazing novel. It is crammed full of stuff. And why anybody thought it would be a good idea to make it into a movie, I have no idea. But the movie has some wonderful bits to it, including some wonderful bits, some wonderful moments that aren't in the book, that are very Hollywood, and yet work really well. Again, I highly recommend it. I don't know if you'll ever find a copy of Creator. And if you did, you'd almost certainly find this copy, because the movie adaptation cover had a greater print run than the original paperback. The original paperback didn't look anything like this, of course. And if you did, if you were at a book barn or a book swap or an Annie's or something like that, and you saw this, you could easily be forgiven for thinking it was junk. And I'm telling you it's not. If you see this, it's a genuine novel, a big, meaty novel that you would at least find fascinating, even if you don't love it the way I do. And the next one, completely different, is The Golden Guide to Birds. These little paperback golden guides are so wonderful. They all have these adorable little full-color paintings of all the birds in questions. There's, in the background of the barn owl, there is a barn at sunset. And an idea of the birds' distribution across the country, and a few notes about their ecology, their breeding cycle or whatnot, and lots of notes in the back, lots of technical stuff in the back to help birding, to help budding birders. These things, when they first came out, this is an umpteenth million reprint of this thing. I don't remember when it actually came out, but I think it was right after World War II, and it sold a million copies, millions of copies of this thing made their way into the hands of young people. Because the books are relatively cheap, and they're easy to carry in your pocket, so they can form a companion. And Golden Guides, they made many such guides to many different things, and they're adorable. I have a bunch of them here. Maybe we'll encounter them if we continue this impromptu library tour. But this was one on birds, which is, I confess, my favorite. And then this next one is not a paperback. Oh, great! Oh, fantastic! Oh, how lovely! This is a little leather hardcover of Literary Lapses by Stephen Leacock. There you go. This is a 1910 book. A great Canadian humorist. Really, really wonderful on the written page to read. These are just little things. How to Live to be 200. What happens if your hat blows off in the street? That sort of thing. They're little comedic meditations on the vicissitudes of life in the last century, but they're adorable. They're just fantastic to read. It's like having him just there telling you stories. It's just delightful. And I didn't remember that I had this thing, so that's great. Literary Lapses by Stephen Leacock. And then the next one is Short Studies on Great Subjects by James Froude. This is just a little hardcover. He was a great historian. And these are little pieces for literary journals or addresses to historical societies or whatnot. So we have something on the prose of Matthew Arnold, a bunch of essays about Oxford, study of the Book of Job, study of the lives of the saints, something on the dissolution of the monasteries, one on Spinoza. It isn't really, you wouldn't go to a book like this for a sustained study. It's just he's a icily sharp writer and thinker of history. So if you're a fan of his, and I am, then you want anything that he wrote. So when I found, I don't remember where I got this thing, but you never know when you're going to want to return to something like that and think, well, okay, it's not just that I want to know what he thought. It's that his essays, these are from the last century? They're from the 1890s, I think. Boy, none of these books are helping me. Well, I think most of these essays of his probably came out in the Victorian era. So their just offhand reference and scholarship are going to be astounding. And so you can go to them for that as well. There's just wonderful to read if you're a history buff. Oh, okay, and this is the last one. This is the last thing for today. Oh no, we'll clear off this whole shelf, so we'll do a few more. This next one is a classic. It actually sold more than The Golden Guide to Birds or anything else that we've talked about here. It was a national bestseller from month after month after month after month. It's Happiness is a Warm Puppy. By Charles M. Schulz. And that's all it's about. It's all about all the little joys of life, lots of candles, that sort of thing. But the first one, and the Schulz's publisher had the stroke of genius to make it the book's title, and that made it just fly off the shelf. Although the picture for Happiness is a Warm Puppy is slightly heretical, since Lucy Van Pelt wasn't particularly fond of Snoopy. Because when he kissed her, she was worried about dog germs. And then, let's see here. This next one's a bit of a mystery. Look at that. Somebody, or maybe I, put it in one of those old leather slip-on mass market covers that used to be popular with people on the subway so that nobody would see that they were reading romance novels. I don't know why I would have put it on something. Maybe the book was falling apart. Let's see what it is, though. Oh, okay, the book is falling apart. I can see that. It's A Journey Through Wales by Gerald of Wales. You may have heard me mention him on this channel. I'm a big, big fan of Gerald of Wales. I did not realize I still had this. So this will be a completely different translation than the Penguin translation. Wow. Okay. Wonderful. All right, and it's tons of notes. Just tons. Wow, this is worth perusing. All right, so I don't know why I should put some sort of sticker on here to say what it is if the original hardcover can't live. But that's Gerald of Wales. What he's doing in exile out here, I have no idea. I will correct that. And then the last thing I want to show you is a box set. This lovely thing, which I wrote about. It's from Pushkin Press, and it's 4 volumes about Venice. Isn't that lovely? Look at that. That's the whole set is called In Search of Venice, and it includes Arthur Schnitzler's Casanova's Return to Venice, Paul Moran's Venices, Henry James' Letters from the Palazzo Barbaro, Regis Debray's Against Venice, and Peter Crowell's Loving Venice. Varying sizes, but all in these lovely, no matter what size you get, you've got an individual commissioned cover and this lovely textured little paperbacks. Just a fantastic Venetian set. I was really hoping. I mean, I love that Pushkin Press did this, but I was really hoping that they might, if this did really well, they might do a similar thing again. Do another box set of 5 or 6 more little volumes about Venice. There have been hundreds, and a lot of them are lovely. And they didn't. Of course, things like this don't sell well enough to do that. But if I remember, I will find my link, the link to my review, and put it down there. Because if you love Venice, this thing might still be available, and it's well worth it. But there you go. That is perhaps the first of many installments in a new library tour. Full of surprises over here, aren't I? But I'll wrap up now, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.